In Arizona, FBI agents surround a house linked to the notorious Sonora cartel. Meanwhile, another team including Kate Mazer and Reggie Wayne approaches the residence with urgency. They breach the walls and begin a systematic search for potential hostages. Taking command of the operation, Kate bursts into a room just in time to avoid a shotgun blast and kills the attacker. What they discover next is horrifying. Severely decomposed bodies are found hidden inside the walls. The agents, shaken and struggling to breathe, rush outside. As Kate and her superior, Agent Jennings, continue the inspection, they count more than 40 bodies. Although there is no solid evidence, they believe the house belongs to Sonora cartel Lieutenant Manuel Diaz, who is currently hiding somewhere in the United States. Outside, 2 police officers investigating a nearby shed discover a locked trapdoor and alert the team. Moments later, a sudden explosion destroys the shed, killing both officers. Back home, Kate is visibly disturbed by the events. Shortly afterward, she and Reggie are summoned to the FBI office, where Jennings and other officials review her file with a man interested in her expertise. Kate is introduced to CIA officer Matt Graver, who questions her about Manuel Diaz's operations and her personal life. Hesitant, Kate reveals that she is divorced and has no children. After further discussion, Graver explains that a task force is being formed to investigate the Sonora cartel, with him in charge, and he wants Kate to serve as a liaison. Their initial target is Guillermo, Manuel's brother, believed to be hiding in El Paso, though Graver remains deliberately vague. Jennings stresses that Kate must volunteer for the assignment. She agrees on the condition that she can pursue those responsible for the atrocities discovered in the Arizona house. Reggie drives Kate to an Air Force base to meet Hattie, but only Kate is allowed inside. She is escorted to a runway where Hattie waits beside a private jet. Another man boards the aircraft, Alejandro, who introduces himself before taking a seat. He asks Kate whether she has ever been to Juarez, Mexico, which confuses her since their stated destination is El Paso. Upon arrival in Texas, they are met by CIA Black Ops agent Steve Forsing and transported to a U.S. military base. There, Kate is absorbed into a large task force that includes U.S. Marshals and elite Delta Force operators preparing for a major operation against the cartel. Guillermo has already been captured and is being transported back to the base. The team is warned to stay alert as a cartel ambush is likely. Still unsure of Alejandro's true role, Kate learns that he was once a federal prosecutor in Mexico and is of Colombian origin. The revelation raises more questions, but Alejandro assures her that everything will eventually make sense. Hattie refers to Alejandro as an advisor, though Kate remains skeptical. When she asks what she is really getting into, Hattie insists their mission is to dismantle those responsible for the Arizona murders and gives Kate a choice: step aside or step up. The task force crosses the Mexican border as part of a convoy joining federal police. As they enter Juarez, Kate is confronted with bodies hanging from a bridge, a brutal reminder of the violence they face. Intelligence soon reveals that the cartel knows their route. Alejandro warns that cartel activity at the border is likely and cautions Kate not to trust the local police, many of whom are compromised. After securing Guillermo, the team heads back toward the border under police escort but becomes stuck in traffic. Alejandro spots cartel members approaching in 2 vehicles and alerts the team. Weapons are readied, though they are ordered to engage only if necessary. When one suspect opens his car door, Delta operators react instantly, killing everyone in the vehicle. The second car is neutralized by Forsing. During the chaos, Kate is forced to kill a corrupt federal officer who tries to shoot her. Back at the base, Kate struggles with the legality of their actions. Graver tells her this is the new reality of modern warfare. Guillermo pretends not to understand English during interrogation, prompting Graver to bring in Alejandro. Alejandro's presence terrifies Guillermo, who recognizes him and panics as the interrogation turns brutally violent. Later, Kate stands on the rooftop with a Delta operator, looking out over Juarez. The city has erupted into chaos following Guillermo's capture. Reggie soon picks up Kate, Graver, and Alejandro. Suspicious of Alejandro, Reggie asks about him, but Kate urges them to leave immediately. Back in Arizona, they encounter a group of Mexican migrants who have been illegally detained. Alejandro orders everyone released except migrants from Nogales and Sonora, areas linked to cartel tunnels. Kate questions the motive but is advised to observe quietly. Alejandro interrogates the remaining migrants, examining their backgrounds and physical condition for clues. Frustrated by the secrecy, Reggie confronts Graver, threatening to walk away unless he gets answers. Graver admits they are using Guillermo's intelligence to identify cartel smuggling routes and provoke Manuel Diaz into returning to Mexico, forcing him to expose his superior, Fausto Alarcón, known as El Verdugo. Alejandro compares finding him to discovering a cure for a deadly disease. Though disturbed, Kate and Reggie accept the explanation and demand transparency going forward. At home, Kate wrestles with her sense of justice but convinces herself that the brutality is necessary. Reggie later warns her that Graver's role as a Department of Defense advisor is likely a cover, since CIA operations on U.S. soil are illegal. At a motel, selected migrants provide crucial information about the tunnel network. Graver instructs Kate to alert SWAT as they surveil a bank laundering Manuel's money. They observe a female money mule depositing cash and arrest her outside, recovering a bag full of money. Believing they finally have solid evidence, Kate ignores Graver's orders and enters the bank with Reggie. They learn that Manuel is tied to a $17 million line of credit that the bank has deliberately concealed. Kate sends the information to Graver, convinced it could lead to Manuel's arrest. Graver refuses to act, insisting their only objective is forcing Manuel back to Mexico. Determined to follow proper procedure, Kate takes the evidence to Jennings. He admits prosecutions rarely change the reality on the streets and assures her that task forces like Graver's operate under political authority. Later, Kate and Reggie go out for drinks to unwind, unaware that Alejandro is watching them. A man named Ted, a Phoenix police officer and Reggie's old friend, approaches their table. The mood lightens as they talk and laugh. Ted invites Kate to dance, and their chemistry quickly escalates, eventually leading them back to her apartment. In the heat of the moment, Kate notices a rubber band on Ted's wrist that matches the ones found in the money mule's bag. Realizing the connection, she instinctively reaches for her gun, triggering a violent struggle. Ted overpowers her and grips her throat, nearly killing her, when Alejandro suddenly appears, gun raised and aimed directly at Ted's face. Later, Graver confronts Kate about her decision to enter the bank, pointing out that this incident proves Manuel is becoming increasingly bold. Reggie feels guilty for introducing her to Ted, unaware of his cartel connections. In a brutal interrogation, Graver and Alejandro beat Ted mercilessly, threatening to expose his family to the cartel and send him to a labor camp unless he cooperates. Panicked and desperate, Ted admits he is in over his head and tries to negotiate, but Alejandro demands to know how many cartel-affiliated officers are on the police force. Afterward, Alejandro checks on Kate, who is still shaken by the encounter. He tells her that Ted was sent to extract information about what she knew. Grateful for Alejandro's intervention, Kate thanks him for saving her life. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Alejandro admits that she reminds him of someone very dear to him and advises her to get some rest. He explains that the next day they will force Manuel back into Mexico, a crucial move in their dangerous strategy. The story shifts to Silvio, a dedicated Sonora police officer having dinner with his young son. He promises to play soccer with him later and sternly scolds the boy when he reaches for a nearby rifle, reminding him how dangerous it is. Meanwhile, Kate and Reggie return to the motel, where Graver's task force monitors Manuel's residence, waiting for any sign of movement. Graver outlines a plan to raid the tunnel, killing all mules and combatants as a diversion. Tension rises when Manuel is spotted leaving his home, the signal they have been waiting for. Graver makes it clear that he does not want Kate or Reggie involved in the operation, doubting their discretion and fearing they might inform the FBI. However, he also knows the CIA cannot legally proceed without them. Kate realizes the truth: she was brought in to provide legal cover. Reggie suggests they walk away, believing they are pawns in a larger game, but Kate insists on seeing the operation through to understand its real purpose. As the convoy moves out, cartel members are shown loading drugs into the trunk of Silvio's police car before he drives toward the tunnel. The task force stops at a safe distance, and Delta operators instruct Kate and Reggie to stay back. The team checks its gear and advances into the tunnel, moving silently through the darkness. Graver orders them to go weapons-free and leads the descent, knife drawn. Kate and Reggie hear muffled struggles and screams before discovering several bodies Graver has already killed. They reach the main chamber of the tunnel as gunfire erupts between the lead team and cartel members. Kate advances but narrowly avoids being shot. Reggie quickly kills the attacker and urges her to stay behind him. On the Mexican side, Silvio hurriedly unloads drugs from his car as gunfire approaches. Just as he prepares to leave, Alejandro appears and kills a nearby cartel member. Silvio recognizes him as Madeline and freezes in terror. Kate tries to intervene, ordering Alejandro to let Silvio go, but Alejandro shoots her in the vest, warning her never to point a gun at him again. He takes Silvio's police car and reports back to the team while receiving directions to Manuel's location. Terrified, Silvio begs Alejandro to spare his son. Alejandro coldly tells him to follow orders if he wants to see his family again. After the tunnel is cleared, Reggie realizes Kate is missing. As the team rushes back, she stumbles out of the tunnel. In desperation, Kate lunges at Graver, but he quickly restrains her as Delta operators secure Reggie. Graver tells her she entered the wrong tunnel and witnessed something she was never meant to see. When Kate demands to know who Madeline really is, Graver explains that he represents a time when a single faction controlled the drug trade, an era the CIA found easier to manage. What Kate witnessed was Alejandro re-establishing that balance. Graver reveals that Alejandro is a CIA-trained assassin working with the Colombian Medellin cartel. While the CIA exploits his skills, Alejandro uses the opportunity to seek revenge against Fausto Alarcón and the Sonora cartel for the murder of his wife and the brutal death of his daughter. Kate refuses to accept that these actions are justified and vows to expose the CIA. Graver warns her that doing so would be a fatal mistake. Meanwhile, Alejandro and Silvio spot Manuel's car on the road. Using a loudspeaker, Silvio orders Manuel to pull over. After forcing him to disarm, Alejandro orders Silvio out of the vehicle, then suddenly kills him and shoots Manuel in the leg. Manuel claims to be a powerful boss, but Alejandro makes it clear he knows exactly who he is and threatens unimaginable violence against his family if he resists. He forces Manuel to drive them to Fausto's mansion. At the estate, Alejandro kills a guard at the gate just as he reports that everything is clear. Manuel asks about his fate, but Alejandro ignores him. Alejandro eliminates the remaining guards before shooting Manuel in the neck and leaving him to bleed to death in the car. Inside the mansion, Alejandro kills another guard and confronts Fausto, who is dining with his wife and 2 sons. Speaking calmly in English to avoid alarming the children, Alejandro lectures Fausto about enjoying family life while spreading violence across the country. Fausto argues that Alejandro's handlers are no different from him and questions whether Alejandro's wife would be proud. Alejandro responds by reminding him of his daughter's suffering. Fausto begs for mercy, pleading not to be killed in front of his family. Alejandro kills everyone at the table except Fausto, then executes him moments later. Later, Kate stands alone on her apartment balcony when a voice warns her to step away from the edge. She turns to find Alejandro holding her gun. He orders her to sit and tells her she reminds him of his daughter. He hands her a document absolving the CIA and himself of all responsibility and demands that she sign it. As Kate reads the document, she breaks down in tears. Alejandro presses the gun under her chin and calmly explains that her death would be ruled a suicide. Overwhelmed, Kate signs the document. Alejandro tells her to move to another town, warning that she is not a wolf and will not survive in this world. As Alejandro walks away, Kate grabs another gun and aims it at him from the balcony. He turns and faces her without fear, but Kate cannot pull the trigger. She watches as he disappears, haunted by her choices. In the final moments, Silvio's widow and son attend one of the boys' soccer matches. When distant gunfire echoes nearby, they dismiss it as normal, a grim reminder that violence has become an everyday reality. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a great day.